Thank you for checking out crypto.chartguys.com, the source for technical analysis in the cryptocurrency world. We are proud to announce our own crypto alert system designed to give you the most critical technical trading information possible no matter where you are. Keep your eyes on the market with mobile or email alerts for MACD crosses, RSI levels, and even inside bar alerts for dozens of coins across multiple exchanges. New features and proprietary ChartGuys indicators are already in development. Our alert system is very easy to customize and utilize, so don't hesitate to sign up for the most effective crypto trading tool on the market at crypto.chartguys.com. Hello crypto friends, checking in on Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and we'll also look at ETC, BTC here. So a big milestone, well, just the psychological level, Bitcoin getting over 10,000. Overall, technically, it's not a huge deal, but it does have some psychological impact on people. The fact that we're back in the 5-digit range does make things seem less bleak, and people might look at 10,000 Bitcoin and say, "Oh, well, it's not the end of the world." So that it does have an impact in that regard. But as far as technically speaking, we still are looking at resistance levels that aren't related. I mean, it's a psychological level to get over that the bulls certainly pleased to get over rather than reject from it. But it's not really changing anything from where we stood yesterday. It's just continuation of the bull move. And the bulls are very pleased with the continuation that we've seen after breaking the higher high on the daily time frame with, not just short-term follow-through and then a pullback. We got a nice 2-day move. And the big thing that stands out for me is the increasing bull volume for today compared to yesterday. That's another good sign for the bulls as well. So the resistance right now is the top of this move, 10,249. The next resistance level that I would pick out on the daily time frame is right here at 10,300, essentially, if we're rounding a little bit. And then after 10,300, we're looking up at 11,695. So there's a lot of space there. And of course, 11,000 psychological will be in there as well. But a lot of space to the upside. And what we're looking at now is these exponential moving averages. And as I highlighted in the video yesterday, once we get a bull cross of these levels and once we turn them into support, that will be notable for a significant shift. I also pointed out on the weekly time frame how if this were just a regular old stock or anything, technically speaking, I would be looking for a bounce and an equilibrium pattern to form on this weekly time frame, and I'd be looking for the bounce into about the $13,000 to $14,000 range. Doesn't mean we're going to head right there, but as long as this daily chart keeps forming higher lows, the most important level for me right now is, again, 7,851, but we also have a higher low here of 8,393 to be watching as well. That would be the ideal level for the bulls to hold in order to remain their strongest on the daily chart. So zooming in on the 4-hour time frame, again, I put out a tweet earlier today that there's a lack of consolidation on the 4-hour time frame, which has us cautious, but obviously the bulls are still in full control as long as we have 4-hour higher lows. So the most recent consolidation low is $9,502. And again, it's the same scenario. I'm cautious because this 4-hour chart is a bit overbought. We got up into the 70s, haven't been there in a long time. Let's see, and the last time we were there was back when we were trading up at the $17,000 range. But the lack of consolidation, look back on our way up. We had, 3 hours of red candles, 3 hours, 6 hours of pullback, another 4 I shouldn't say 4 hours, I should say 4 candlesticks. So these are 4-hour candlesticks. So, 12 hours, periods of 12 to 24 hours of consolidation. That's a solid move for consolidation and a base of support being built. And we obviously don't have that on this leg to the upside. So that has me more cautious than normal. But as long as these 4-hour higher lows, the bulls have absolute full control of this trend. If we lose the 4-hour higher lows, it doesn't mean it's game over. It just means the daily chart needs to establish another higher low. So here we are. 9,502 is the key support level to be watching overnight, and resistance of 10,250 if we're going to round there. So we're going to look for a 4-hour inside bar to form. We've got 2 hours left in this candlestick, and more likely than not, that's what we will see unless things get a bit extended to the downside. We did just get a bear break on the 15-minute time frame of an equilibrium pattern with our high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high. Not a clear dump, but it was a bear break by about $11, and we'll see if that continues to pull back the hourly time frame at this point. Again, still healthy consolidation, but consolidation nonetheless. And bulls, I will say bulls in full control as long as 9,500 holds. So checking in on Litecoin, Also consolidating, this is the daily time frame. It's a bearish reversal gravestone doji. It shows a big upper wick of profit taking after the huge 2-day bull move, and it tells us to be looking for another daily higher low to form as we need to consolidate. Look at the bull cross of these exponential moving averages close to occurring, and those levels are now support. We're well above them, and we're going to be watching for this consolidation and for this daily higher low to form. So the 4-hour chart here as well, as long as the higher lows hold, the bulls are in full control. You could say that this was a higher low that was broken at 212.23. So a bit more cautious because that level broke. Look at the volume. Bull volume is great. Bear volume is low. So this is healthy consolidation. The bulls have nothing to worry about at this point. I'm looking at the next level down at 196.50 as a support level. And the indication that we can be looking for the bulls to regain control and to establish a daily higher low, it goes back to all different time frames. So I can look at the 15-minute chart and I can say, okay, we are, and there was a beautiful equilibrium bear break here that was very clear, but I can say, okay, we're in a downtrend on the 15-minute time frame, lower highs and lower lows. If we switch that and we start forming higher lows and higher highs, I then look to the hourly chart. If the hourly chart starts forming higher lows and higher highs, I can then say, okay, the daily chart is likely to have established its higher low at this point. So the hourly time frame changing the trend from lower highs and lower lows to higher lows and higher highs. And again, the 15-minute time frame, we'll see it first, and then it will translate into the hourly chart when a little bit more time goes by. But that will be the indication to be looking for the daily higher low to be established. And that might take a day. It might take 2 days. It also does depend on Bitcoin because we are definitely correlated to a degree. That correlation has broken often due to volume influxes over the past 2 days. But we definitely need to be watching Bitcoin because if Bitcoin loses its 4-hour higher low and consolidates on the daily, then that would tell me that Litecoin's pullback is going to be more magnified than if Bitcoin can hold its 4-hour higher low pattern and remain in this very strong breakout that we are seeing. So again, definitely have to watch the correlations. I'm always watching ETH, BTC, and LTC, BTC charts to see the comparison and who's strongest and who I want to be trading out of those big three. But where we stand right now, the daily chart for Bitcoin is a lot stronger than it is on Ethereum and Litecoin. So it all depends, 4-hour time frame. Ethereum on the daily, indecision candlestick, which at the top of an uptrend, you can call a bearish reversal candlestick a doji right now. Same thing though, as long as the daily higher lows hold, the bulls have nothing to worry about on this uptrend. And of course, we're still in a downtrend long term, but the uptrend over the past 2 weeks. So support is 780 is the must hold level, and the ideal level to hold would be 826 to keep these higher lows. Resistance is the high of this move at 948.23. And of course, 10,000 psychological or 1,000 psychological will be the next key level after that. So we look at the 4-hour chart and say, are we still holding higher lows? And the answer right now is yes. I'm looking at 2 support levels here. 907, break 907, and we just had a 4-hour inside bar. We had multiple 4-hour inside bars break bearish. But if we break 907, then we lose the 4-hour higher low pattern, and that tells me that daily consolidation is underway. So after 907, I'm looking down at 895.50, and we're watching to see, can the bulls hold these levels? And we are definitely weaker in Ethereum than we are on Bitcoin. Here's an hourly chart that I'm watching as well, an equilibrium pattern on Ethereum, high, low, lower, high, and the bulls are trying to form a higher low compared to 907 to watch this range continue to tighten up. But I look at the ETH BTC chart, and it is seeing an oversold bounce right now. So that tells me Bitcoin's pulling back and Ethereum is not really pulling back as hard. And that's an important distinction to make, where I look at this chart and we were looking at it and saying, okay, hourly chart's under 20 RSI, 4-hour time frame is at 20 RSI. We know to be looking for an oversold bounce. That being said, that doesn't mean that Ethereum is going to be bullish. What that can mean as well, it can mean, Ethereum and Bitcoin are both going up and Ethereum's going to go up faster as we see this oversold bounce. Or it can mean that Bitcoin's going to pull back and Ethereum's just going to pull back less. That would also see a bounce on this chart. So that's a very important distinction to make, and I see a lot of people making the mistake where they assume that because this chart is due for a bounce, that means a bull move is coming in Ethereum, and that's not necessarily the case. So that's where we stand on the big three. Let's check ETC, BTC. This is a daily chart that had a bull break, and you can see we are pulling back significantly and trying to change the trend now. Let's look at the weekly. So the weekly chart, we had a big bull move. We pulled back and we gave back almost all of that move back, but it is still a higher low from before the breakout started. So we do have a couple higher lows to be watching on this weekly chart. On the daily chart here, again, breaking resistance. Whenever I have a resistance range like this, if you've been watching these videos, you know that I normally use the wicks for the key support and resistance levels and price action. When I have a range like this and there's no real clear level, I will use the real bodies of the candlesticks. So I'll put a resistance line right there where we couldn't close above on this daily candlestick. And I can see that we also rejected right there as well. And we haven't closed over this level aside from this breakout. So we broke out, very clear, increasing bull volume, declining bear volume on this pullback. Ideal scenario for the bulls would be to backtest and hold this previous resistance level and now support. But because of the size of this breakout, we can pretty much say that a daily higher low is going to be very likely. And again, this is a little bit more developed in the consolidation to what I was just explaining on Bitcoin. But let's look at the hourly chart and what would be an indication that our daily higher low is being set. So the hourly chart is all lower highs and lower lows. We did break one of the lower highs right here, but obviously no follow through. So until we get a higher low and a higher high on the hourly time frame, the bears remain in control of consolidation. Once we do get an hourly higher low and a higher high, then we look at that as the first signal that the daily higher low is being established. And it also gives us a clear support level to be looking for. So say we bounce right here and we set a higher low and a higher high. I put my stop loss below that higher low. I have a very clear support level to be watching. If it breaks, that tells me, okay, the bulls didn't have any follow through on the bounce and we're not done consolidating. If that support level holds and I don't get stopped out of the trade, then our daily higher low has formed and the bulls show back up and continue the hourly uptrend of higher lows and higher highs. So that's something to be looking at. Again, the 15-minute and the hourly are the first levels that I will look for a shift in momentum to get an indication on when a longer-term time frame like the daily chart is forming a higher low. So ETC, BTC is consolidating healthy after the breakout on the daily, and the next resistance level after we get over 4138, going to be looking back here at 4878, that resistance level up there. So we do have a nice little daily uptrend to be watching. And we'll see when that higher low forms sometime likely in the next 2 days. So Bitcoin, all about the 4-hour time frame. We are seeing some bearish action here. There's that clear dump from this equilibrium pattern, increased bear volume, watching for oversold conditions. Litecoin, 15-minute time frame, getting oversold. So let's see if we can do this live. Well, I'm not live, but we're going to be looking to potentially get into a trade here on Litecoin, but I have to be aware that Bitcoin is not oversold. So the Bitcoin 5-minute RSI is oversold, so that makes me a little bit more comfortable. But the fact that the 15-minute is not oversold on Bitcoin, that tells me we can see a short 5-minute oversold bounce and then head back down to lower lows, which could cause Litecoin to see extreme oversold levels. So I have to be cautious. If Bitcoin 15-minute RSI were oversold right now, I'd be very confident scaling into Litecoin, but I'm going to be a bit more cautious because that is not the case, and we have to be watching this 5-minute oversold bounce attempt on Bitcoin. So again, let's just go through. I'm not going to stay recording this video because it's going to take a little bit to play out. But right now, what I'm watching is for a potential volume climax. I'm watching for the 15-minute RSI. If we get down towards 20, then I'm definitely going to start scaling in. And I would, again, like to see Bitcoin oversold on the 15-minute time frame, but that's not going to be happening anytime soon. So I have to watch Bitcoin on the 5-minute time frame and get an indication, is this bounce for real, or is this just a short-term bounce to cool off the 5-minute RSI? And then we're going to head down to lower lows and watch the 15-minute RSI get oversold. So at this point, if I were going to be trading Litecoin right now, I'd be looking to make a partial entry and perhaps flip it quickly in terms of locking in short-term gains. But if I were looking for a longer-term hold and a longer-term bounce to play out, I want to see that Bitcoin 15-minute RSI oversold as well. So that's where we stand. Let's see what Ethereum is doing with these correlations right now. And that chart that I'm looking at tells me it's just not pulling back as hard. So this might be a good example where Ethereum is weak, and it's down at the low of this pullback. But that chart that I just showed of ETH BTC is going up because it's not pulling back as fast as Bitcoin. So the correlation to each other is favoring Ethereum at this point on that oversold bounce. So I'm going to be looking to scale into Litecoin. If we can get another leg down on Bitcoin, I'll be really comfortable scaling into Litecoin. In terms of previous price to be looking at down in this range, it's down at 196.50 and of course 200 psychological. So the more oversold this 15-minute RSI gets, the stronger the bounce will get. And we have nice volatility. Even this little bounce that headed down to lower lows, we went from 210 up to 216. So even, if you scalp a $2 move, that's a percent. And it might not seem like a lot. You say, who cares about a percent? Compound 1% a day and see where it gets you. And I promise it's going to be a very significant appreciation in your account. So I will always go for a 1% trade. If there's not a whole lot there, lock in 1%, do that every day, and you are a big time winner. So I appreciate you watching. We will watch this bounce play out while this video is uploading, and I will likely jump in for some trading opportunity, especially if we get a lower low here on Bitcoin. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.